Welcome to the West Egg Talk Show, sponsored by Dr. T.J. Eckelberg.
TJ Eckelberg, call today for help with seeing pedestrians. Today we are going to be meeting with some people who have lived, breathed, and even talked with the Great Gatsby himself. Please welcome Nick Carraway and Daisy Buchanan.
Hello.
Hello, my adoring public.
Nick Carraway is a recent addition to the West Egg neighborhood, moving in right next to Gatsby. You'd probably know Gatsby as the guy who throws all those massive parties and lives in a house that would put some hotels to shame. Daisy is Nick's cousin and was Gatsby's long-lost love.
So, Nick, we'll start with you. What was your very first impression of Gatsby?
All right, so for starters, what stood out to me the most was his extraordinary smile. It's just one of those rare smiles with such a quality of eternal reassurance in it. Something about him seemed remarkably hopeful and provided such great hope for the future. Ironically, the first time we met, I didn't even know who he was. I'd only heard some rumors and some extravagant rumors about him. I thought the person I was talking to was just some random person who'd served in the same war as me, and it was only later, during the party, that I found out it was the Great Gatsby himself.
Interesting. Daisy, how did you feel when you first saw your former lover again?
Even though I was able to see him, I realized at the same time my current love, Tom, didn't love me the way I thought he did.
Though I do remember you saying something along the lines of you were awfully glad to see him again.
I was extremely happy. He is still the love of my life. I would have loved to get married to Gatsby.
Though Daisy was way too embarrassed to say that out loud. She was so nervous around Gatsby when they had tea together.
After I saw him for the first time, I only remember saying, "I'm glad, Jay."
There was no point in hiding it whatsoever. Daisy's face was smeared with tears.
You both had beautiful first interactions and interpretations of your meetings with Gatsby. Thank you for sharing that portion of how things came to be between the three of you. Why don't you both tell us a little bit about how Gatsby's death impacted you, even though I understand it will probably be painful to recall.
Needless to say, I was shaken up to be the least. No one else was helping me with things like his funeral, and it felt like a huge betrayal for a man that I'd just come to know. So I had to try and pull all of his family together and his friends for a funeral. Unfortunately, no one but his father and a man I once at one of Gatsby's parties showed up. It was a great disappointment because I thought he had a ton of friends due to the size of the lavish parties he held.
And Daisy, I know this is going to be extremely hard for you, but if you can give us any insight at all as to how you were feeling.
He was the absolute love of my life. I was planning on running away with him. I am now stuck with an abusive husband. I'm completely distraught about what happened. I wish I had married him before he left for the war, instead of having to marry Tom.
Thank you both for your perspective. I know that was probably very difficult.
Well, that was Nick Carraway and Daisy Buchanan, everybody. Thanks for being here with us today for this thrilling interview. Tune in next week for an exclusive interview with local polo player Tom Buchanan.